Well, welcome everybody. We're going to have so much fun today. We're going to be chatting about our health because, of course, if we're not healthy, it doesn't matter what we do with our business. It's not going to be successful. And so I always love talking about health as a business topic because it is. And so we've got a couple new folks today, a couple folks that we haven't seen for a while. So let's go around and have everybody do a quick introduction. Amanda, we'll leave you for the end. So Suze, give us a little bit of information about you. I do have the chat feature open so people can post their LinkedIn links, all those various things. And so don't hesitate to do that. But Suze, tell us what's going on with you.
Okay, well, writing grants and breaking glass. Little stress, so the glass is quite the good stress reliever for me. The nice thing is this time of year people are buying the crosses, so
oh yeah,
keeping my head above water and treading fast. But hopefully I'll start hearing about some grants and then things can move forward. Amanda, I work with my senior citizens up here. Debbie and I are both from the same community. We're 60 miles from everywhere.
Place in Colorado.
Yeah. We need assisted living. We need some kind of senior living. We need, and everybody wants it. Everybody knows about it, but nobody's willing to stick their neck out. So there's where my neck is.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Suze is definitely a huge help and supporter for the community up there. So cool.
Wonderful.
All right, Mr. Basilico, what's up with you today, sir?
Well, as you can see, I'm dressed up. I'm not wearing a hoodie. Oh, and of course, as soon as you call me, my phone rings.
It's the White House.
Like the waitress at the restaurant.
Hi. No, I don't want a car warranty. Thank you very much. Bye.
Very bold.
Hey, I knew what it was for because I recognized the number. Anyways, I'm Brian. I'm in Aurora, Illinois, not Aurora, Colorado. We have that in common, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And I do B2B marketing, and that's essentially what I do.
Yeah.
So
cool. Mm-hmm. I love it. Eugene, what's up in your world?
Well, my world exists here in Kennesaw, Georgia. I'm just north of where Deb resides. There's never a dull moment in Georgia, as we all know.
Yeah.
I am the COO of Roadmap Technologies, and we provide IT solutions for small to mid-sized companies across the United States and any industry.
Great.
Copying the link for somebody. Joel, first time joining us. Thank you so much. And Joel also suggested our speaker. So Joel, tell us just a little bit about what you do and let us know what's up with you.
All right. Good morning, y'all. My name is Joel Atkins. I'm actually currently about 25 feet away from Amanda up in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
He's outside.
Yeah,
I love
inside. I mean, we didn't want to get any kind of reverb or anything like that, so I decided to step outside for a minute. Most of my businesses revolves around networking. I run a B2B networking event company here in Chattanooga. My primary is a bartering network. Basically allows business owners to swap services for the cost for doing business. So that's pretty much what I do.
Great. Boy, we're getting some funky feedback from somebody.
I don't know what's going on in there, but
isn't it funny? I was going to say, we got some little kid going.
Yeah, that was weird.
That's perfect.
I love it. Well, Henry, what's up in your world, sir? Tell us what's going on.
It's doing great. It's beautiful, peaceful, and everything. I can't complain, y'all. It feels good, to be honest with y'all.
Good.
Spring has sprung here in Georgia.
I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful to still be standing with myself, my family, and so on, and all those things. It's another day, another chapter to be honest. So
Yeah.
what I do and all that kind of stuff.
Wonderful. Billie Jean, been a while, my darling. How are you?
Well, if I were any better, I don't know what what that would be like.
My line is, if I was any better, it'd be illegal.
Yeah. Mhm.
My dad used to have this saying when I was little. He said, "I'm finer than fuzz," and I was like, "I don't get it. Finer than fuzz?" He's like, "I don't know. It's just what Dad used to say." So
I know. I
finer
guess
than fuzz. Yeah,
Buzz is fine.
it is fun. Yeah, I don't know. Wait, one more drink of coffee and then I'll be great.
I know.
He's got
I
it.
needed an IV
I
of
have
it
my
today.
new Nebraska cup right now. I went across Nebraska the other day, and I'm a Nebraska native, but I never had a Nebraska cup, and I thought I gotta get one.
Yeah.
Obviously.
We'll
Yeah.
forgive you. We'll forgive you.
I am a writer type, so I help businesses and customers communicate with each other, and hopefully they decide to fall in love and have a long-term relationship. And I'm currently in the middle of a long-term midlife crisis. I'm going to grow to be age to be 100. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but I hope it's fun. So I'm still looking for it.
Sure it will be.
I love it.
That's it.
I love it. Well, Miss Judy, you just joined us, and we are just doing introductions. So let us know what's up with you.
About the same. I'm doing fine. I want to send Billie Jean something I got in the mail yesterday about copywriter. I don't know where it's located, but most of them are online. But
Do you know
I'm doing
hiring,
fine.
Judy?
Pardon?
Do you know the person hiring? Because that's what I'm finding the key. I keep sending down the resumes, and I'm like, is anybody out there? So I
Yeah.
need a warm introduction. But
That's
anyway,
what LinkedIn is for.
Yeah.
I know. I'm on it, girl.
But anyway, I'm a writer, a friend of Deb's from Denver. I live now outside of DC, which is another dangerous spot in the world. as they say.
Wow.
I just talked to my in-laws in Boulder to make sure they were okay. And they are, but they know people, that kind of thing. And it's just a tough day when you've lived there most of your life or a lot of your life. And as Deb knows, or as many of you know, my 2 children went to CU Boulder and lived there. So I'm familiar with the community, and I'm heartbroken. And I looked forward because I knew I could focus on something else. But I'm generally a communications consultant and an educator, and there are a lot of education jobs that seem to be coming my way in the way of tutoring, and it's decent pay, and things are starting to open up here. And I'm looking at the low fruit, going to be happy, take a part-time job and move forward. I also have a blog that I'm working on, and we're designing that with an editor in Denver. So just trying to move forward. I'm sorry I missed the first 10 minutes because I don't want to belabor what you discussed.
No.
It's we're finishing up now with our introductions. It's one of those things we always want to make sure that we do that, because this is a networking group, especially because this is the first time Amanda has joined us. Same with Joel. And it's I started it a year ago because I needed to see people, and we added the educational component. So that way, for people who are working, they really can say, I have this important meeting that I have to do. And so, as I mentioned, though, I love adding health aspects to business conversations, because if we are not healthy, we can't do business. And it just comes down to that. We can have the most successful business, but if we aren't taking care of ourselves, that's always, it's something that we have to put as our first priority. And so that was why it was so exciting when Joel suggested you, because, we are having, we're looking for a variety of ways to stay healthy. I think, we're obviously now, many people are looking more for natural ways, taking a pill to fix it. Sometimes you have to, and
Right.
and hello, I've had my COVID shots,
Right.
and I know Brian's had his, and so, there are times where you have to do that, but, I'm also a firm believer in the more natural we can do things, obviously, the more your body likes it. So with that, Amanda, tell us about yourself, and then go ahead, and the floor is is yours.
Okay. Well, my name is Amanda Dillard. I am first and foremost a mom of 3 young boys. 3 boys. It's a lot of dirt and dinosaurs at my house, but I would not have it any other way. They are my everything. I also have a husband who is wonderful and my everything as well. So me and against 4 boys, it's just a lot. And that's kind of one of the reasons that I started that elderberry lady to begin with, was I needed some sort of other outlet than just being a stay-at-home mom. And little did I know that it would take off like it has. So it's been a huge blessing to me, because we have always been a very naturally minded family. When I was pregnant with my children, I made sure that I got plenty of leafy greens and, took my prenatals and that kind of stuff. And I had 3 healthy boys. And I've continued that trend towards us just being more natural and using the tools that God gave us here to nourish our bodies and help us have energy and a clear mind and all of that. So that's really been kind of where I started with this. I was never a business person before that. I never thought I could be a business owner. I was just a mom that enjoyed making natural remedies for my families and a few friends, and that was it. And it took off, and I didn't know what to do, honestly. So for a long time, it was almost kind of frantic, because I was not a business person. I had no idea how to organize my business day while having 3 children. And at the time, my husband was a truck driver, so he was not really home a lot. So I was working, 40, 60 hours a week, plus 3 children, plus, and I was so overwhelmed, not only in my work life, but also in my home life, because I could never really separate the two. They were also intertwined. I was always on mom duty and being a business owner. So having that kind of dynamic was really difficult for me, and I was very, very overwhelmed. Until it kind of hit me one day that, okay, this is not working for you. Your stress is very high, your health is suffering. And it just kind of clicked with me that this was not how it was meant to be. If you're a business owner, you should enjoy what you're doing. What other reason is there to do it other than the obvious, like, financial reasons? But really, to have your own business needs to be something that you're passionate about, that you can enjoy, and really feeds your soul, not only your wallet. So my thought was, yes, I'm doing what I enjoy, but is it still, as enjoyable to me as it was? So I found out very quickly with doing like some soul searching and just really stepping back and taking a look at my life and the way I had structured things, what I could do differently in order to kind of make things work a little bit. And we'll go into mindfulness a little bit at this point, because it really was me having to sit down and say, okay, this part of my day or this part of my week or whatever, I can work towards my business, but I need to take this time for my family and this time to care for myself, which was something as a mom and a business owner, I put way on the back burner. It was like behind the stove. I didn't even have it on the stove anymore. So that was something that I had to really work at, was to take care of myself. Although I'm all about natural remedies, you can eat all the kale and broccoli in the world, but if your stress level is through the roof, that's going to catch up to you on a physical level at some point. And I was feeling that physical, the physicalness of my stress at that point. So I really had to kind of separate, okay, I'm going to work 30 minutes towards this and really separate my day and be more mindful of how I was spending all of my energy. And if I was putting my energy toward things that didn't serve my business well, or myself well, or one of my family members well, I just cut it out, because there is a lot of fat to be trimmed. If it doesn't make sense in some way, then some things you just try and they don't work out, and you have to be like, okay, this doesn't work. I have to move on. That being said, there are a ton of different herbs out there. I am an herbalist. I'm also a health coach, so I do that one-on-one with people as well. And my knowledge of herbs really comes from my experience of using them. Prior to forming that elderberry lady, what I did was, hey kids, we're going to go forage in the woods to see what herbs or mushrooms we can find. And we're going to take it back home and make a salad or put it in our soups that are high in nutrients and just whatever we needed. The first time I actually used herbs, though, was way before I had children. It was when my husband and I were very newly dating. And he had asthma that he had suffered from his entire life with asthma. He had 6 inhalers that he took every single day. It was wildly expensive. And one day, we had just moved in together, not married, just moved in together, and it was like, okay, we were both working like minimum wage jobs. We can either afford your inhalers or like we can pay rent and our bills or have food. So that was our choice. And, he needs to breathe at the same time. So I got really resourceful, just like my mom taught me, here in my small town in Tennessee. And I just was looking for another alternative. And I stumbled across, on the internet of all places, because there's all kinds of information on there, a plant that may grow around me that we could use to help improve his lung function. So I thought, what, okay, we'll give it a go. And I just went out walking in my yard and actually found this plant. It's called mullein. And I started making my husband a very strong tea with that, and it really helped his lung function. He took the first drink of it and he said, I can breathe better. This is better than an inhaler right now. So I continued doing that. He still takes mullein to this day to increase his lung function. And it works so well. I thought, okay, well, what else is out here that I've missed that we could use for our bodies, for our nourishment, for different things that we needed that literally grow around us and are completely free. And from there, I just had a hunger for more and more information on herbs and things that grew around us. And we still use tons of herbs in our daily lives now. Not to say that there is not a time and a place for Western medicine. There absolutely is. I'm not a doctor, so always talk to your doctor about anything you're going to do. That's between you and your doctor. But I will say that in my experience, there are so many herbs out there that are safe for most people and are very beneficial for our bodies in many different ways. A few that I want to specifically talk about that help with things like managing stress, also increasing energy naturally, and helping with sleep at night too, because I know as business owners, for me, yeah, exactly. For me, it was so hard for me to turn my brain off at night because I would think, oh, I didn't do this today. I forgot to do that. Or, I've got this tomorrow. And it was so hard for me to put a stop to my brain continuously going so that I could actually get the rest that I needed to do those things the next day. So there are a lot of herbs out there. I'll go over a couple, herbs that we can use, and then we'll do like a question and answer section and let you guys ask some questions. So my favorite herb for energy, and it's something that I make sure to take every day. I actually started growing it and have a whole patch of it at my house, and it's called stinging nettle leaf. This is one of my favorite, definitely like top 3 favorite herbs. And that's because it has so many great properties. One of my favorite things about it is its ability to help the body build natural energy. And I say it specifically as build natural energy because you're not going to take it and all of a sudden it be like a cup of coffee, like we all enjoy, and just have that, almost instant boost from coffee. With the nettle, you need to take it daily for at least a week. I usually tell people about 2 weeks. And then you'll start feeling that natural energy build, and it's almost like a freight train. And once you get going with it, it just goes and goes and goes. Nettle has a lot of great properties. It's high in iron, which the majority of Americans are low on iron. It's classified as a super weed, kind of like a superfood, because it is so nutritionally dense. Stinging nettle, also, little side note and something really cool about it, it acts in our bodies as a natural antihistamine. So it works similar to Benadryl without any drowsiness, which is, it blew my mind when I first read that. And I was like, I'm not sure that that's a thing, but I'm gonna find some and I'll try it. It cut my allergies immediately. Like, seriously, I drank it and about 5 minutes later, my allergies were gone. It was amazing. And nettle's just an amazing plant, but it does help build that natural energy. I drink it in tea or I take it in extract form. And you can do either. I also, since I have it growing in my yard, we use it in soups and casseroles and just different things as an alternative to spinach, because it has a very similar flavor. The thing is, if you ever come into contact with stinging nettle and it is not dried, be careful, because it is stinging nettle for a reason. It has these little hairs that grow on it that actually have a certain oil on it that if it comes in contact with your skin, you are going to feel that stinging sensation. It usually goes away after 15 minutes. I actually cleared out my patch a little bit and dried a bunch of it yesterday, and it even went through my glove a little bit and got me on the thumb, and it hurts so bad. It gets me every time. So that's really what I use for energy, and to just keep that energy in my body, full of vitamins and minerals and nutrients that I need to continue on and keep going and have the energy and support that I need on a nutritional level. Another herb that I love for stress management is ashwagandha. And this is becoming more and more of a popular herb. A lot of people now have heard of it than 5 years ago. So it's definitely coming around. It's actually the root of the ashwagandha plant that is the most beneficial for stress. And it's not like, oh, if you're stressed, if you drink a cup of ashwagandha tea, you're going to feel not stressed. It really helps your body manage stress on a more of a cellular level. So if you are having mental or even physical stress, either kind of stress affects us physically. So ashwagandha helps your body manage the physical aspect of your stressors, which is really cool and very scientific. There's a ton of studies that actually back this up, even on WebMD and the National Institute for Standardized Health. They have plenty of studies on herbs and especially ashwagandha on there. For a more kind of immediate help with stress, I really tend to lean more towards oat straw. And that's actually the straw part of the plant that we get our oats from that we eat. So it's the leftover part of the plant that they don't use from oats. And the straw part of the oat plant has a lot of constituents and properties in it that can help us and our minds level out stress and kind of calm us. I actually even give my twins oat straw tea, because it is very safe. And if they start going, really wild because Grammy gave them gummies again, I will give them oat straw tea just to kind of help bring their minds into more of a steady place. I use it also. You can use it morning, noon, or night, because it's not really going to make you sleepy. It just helps to kind of level your mind's stress level and keep it more of a steady on a steady pace than going way up or way down. As far as sleep goes, there is a lot of herbs out there that help with sleep. I usually will take oat straw in the evening just because that helps to level my mind to get ready for my bedtime routine. Lemon balm is also great as a relaxant, and it's not going to knock you out like NyQuil will, but it does help you relax on a mental and physical level. So it helps kind of bring everything to a a state of stillness a little bit. Plus, lemon balm is a great antiviral. So we've used that for hand, foot, and mouth and stomach viruses and all that, even for the children. So there's a lot of herbs out there. One other that I will say that we use quite often for sleep is passion flower. Passion flower is amazing to help rest at night, and it won't knock you out like NyQuil will, but it definitely will get you closer to going to sleep quite a ways. It almost does me similar to the drowsiness of Benadryl. The passion flower does. So it does definitely bring me to the point of, okay, if you'll just lay down right now and close your eyes, you'll go to sleep. So there are lots of herbs out there. I always tell people we are all very individual as well. So something that works for me may not work for you. It may work wonderful for you. Most herbs are safe, although there are tons out there that are not as well. So if you are looking around, your yard for herbs, there are books out there that you can get to make sure you're identifying them correctly. Sometimes there are harmful lookalikes, but you can always get this stuff at a health food store near you. You can order a lot of stuff off Amazon, but there are definitely tons of herbs out there that are helpful for you. And then I'd like to talk just a couple minutes about elderberries, because that was my business. It is my business, that elderberry lady. And elderberries are amazing. They have done wonderful things for my family. One thing specifically, when my oldest was just a wee lad, he had RSV, which was very scary to me because my sisters at a very young age ended up in the hospital with RSV when they were very young. So I didn't want, my baby to end up in the hospital. I wanted to do whatever I could to, help him fight that off. So I did my research, because that's what I do, is I research things, especially as a mom. So I started digging into things and found that elderberries really helped with that viral load for that, and just to help support his immune system with fighting that off. Not necessarily fight it off for him, but just give his immune system more of the tools that it needed to fight that off. So I actually made him an elderberry syrup liquid without the honey or sweeteners in it. It was just basically elderberry juice. And I started giving him 5 drops every couple of hours after he was diagnosed with the RSV. And within 2 days, he was basically over it. He had a little bit of a fever on day 1, but since that, it was uphill from there instead of downhill. And I thought, whoa, like this, how amazing is this, and my whole family had RSV at the time. Yes, respiratory. Yes, it's a respiratory virus. So very hard on the lungs, especially for babes. And it blew my mind. And I thought, okay, well, I could, maybe I could do this. So I started playing around with elderberries more, incorporating other herbs, trying to get like my homemade recipe. Cause I never really, prior to that, could find one that was truly natural and tasted good. It was one or the other, but never both. It had corn syrup in it or processed sugar or some crazy herb that, yes, was great for you, but I couldn't get my husband to take it because he's very picky. Not my children, my husband. He's very picky on the way things taste. So I got to playing and came up with my elderberry syrup recipe. And I guess the rest is history, as they say. But now we not only offer elderberry syrup, we have elderberry honey, we have an elderberry tea, we even have a allergy blend of syrup. We do bug sprays and all that, and it's completely natural. And it's just my way of kind of informing people and making available to people herbs that truly are natural and safe for most people, because that's all we use in the business is herbs that are safe for the majority of people. Liability, but it's been such a blessing to me and my family, and for me to not share that with people would be a disservice to humanity. So I really felt led to share that, and here we are 5 years. And I'm now also a health coach, and I do one-on-one health coaching. I'm a mom, and I'm also opening up my own community kitchen here in our area of Tennessee here, that will be open not only to others in the community, but people that are visiting here. It's also going to have a separate business center for people that want to utilize that. So it's going to be a really special space, and I am really excited about getting that going. So lots to do, and I just got to keep on keeping on, you know. And I would be happy if you guys have any questions to answer them.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much. We're just going to jump in. Brian has a question.
Yeah. Did you say you're in Knoxville?
No, she's outside of Chattanooga.
We're outside of Chattanooga.
That's right.
Actually was, yeah, I was born and raised a little bit north of here in a small town called Soddy Daisy, Tennessee. Our kitchen is located just outside of Chattanooga in Hickson, Tennessee. So, but most of the stores that carry our products in this area are in Chattanooga.
Gotcha.
Great. You know, elderberry was one of those things that I was told, several months ago by medical people that I should add to, to my supplements, because it they think it could be one of the things that helps ward off COVID. And obviously it's, as you say, it's to each his own, all these various things.
Claim that.
Right. But this came, these were medical people who were telling me this. And so I just started adding the gummies that I bought on Amazon. And so it's like, okay, I'll definitely be checking out your website, which I put in the links, and make sure, folks, she's not the elderberry lady, because there's another person out there.
There's actually three.
Yeah, we need that elderberry lady, because I looked at the picture and went, "That's not you." But yeah, I mean, elderberry was one of those things that that they said, and the thing that I like about most herbs is it's, as you said, it's not detrimental. So maybe there's we're not sure it's helping, but it's not hurting.
Right. So at the very least, you're getting that extra fiber and those extra vitamins and minerals, and it's great for your cardiovascular system. We know that. So at the very least, it's not going to hurt. I will give you my experience though with COVID. Because I actually had it. Yeah. So I have a pre-existing health condition, and I'm the only one in my family that does. And, fortunately, I guess. So I came down with COVID in October of 2020. And it was not fun. I'm not going to pretend like it was a walk in the park, because it was definitely not a walk in the park. It sucked, for lack of a better term. But I did immediately I couldn't taste or smell anything. So I felt very comfortable with just like eating and drinking all the awful things that I could that tasted really bad. But one of the things was I made sure I took elderberry every 2 hours when I was awake, which wasn't a lot because I tried to sleep the majority of the time. But it made it where I was able to, rest and really let my body fight that off as it knows and we were created to do. And it was rough. I'm not going to lie. It was absolutely rough, but I made it through it, and was able to, come out the other side, not really feeling like absolute garbage for the next 2 months, like a lot of people do. My immune system was really able to bounce back from that very well, which I'm very thankful. And I thank God that I did make it through it. But that was my experience with COVID. None of the rest of my family ever got it.
Wow.
They all tested negative the entire time, which they're very, we take our supplements constantly. And I'm really the only one in my family with a pre-existing, medical condition. So I think that had a lot to do with why I had it and they didn't as well.
Well, we're glad. Eugene.
Hey, well, Amanda, thank you. It's always good to learn new stuff. We're big on using holistic solutions at our house, and so I have a couple comments. One of the things from experience that I had my wife went out and bought some loose tea, natural loose tea and stuff. And I was sitting up here in my office one day and I said, man, that really tasted great. I'm going to have another cup of coffee or another cup of tea. And within an hour and a half, my blood pressure had shot up tremendously. And I was ready to go to the emergency room, but we worked it down and flushed it out of my system. So I just, a general comment to our buddies on the call today, you just have to be careful. And don't, you know, because I didn't think about, hey, this tea was so delicious, I'm gonna have another cup of coffee. There are still side effects to these things that, like you said, can impact people differently. So I just want to.
Well, and I think sometimes natural things, because they are natural, your body absorbs them better. And, you know, and because it's like, oh, this is good for us. And so then the side effects can be, you know, more extreme.
And you also have to be aware of if you're taking the traditional medicine, make sure the interactions. I'm not a doctor. I only play one on television, but
on Zoom.
I say that all the time.
So I recently just opened this up, and I'm okay with sharing this. I recently started trying GABA. And it's been interesting. It is very helpful, but it sounds like some of the things that you recommended may be worthwhile looking as an alternative. I'm not asking for medical advice. I'm just it's a comment.
So my husband actually uses GABA on a daily basis as well. And that's something that he uses to work with his mental state more than anything. He does still use herbs that work well for him specifically in conjunction with it. And actually my first run-in with GABA was when I was talking to a mom that had an autistic son. And her friend was like, oh, you should give him GABA. So she started giving him like GABA on his fruit. She would sprinkle it on there, and he was having these wild tantrums after that. And she said, I don't understand why. And I said, well, maybe the GABA is not what he needs. And she said, well, you know, my friend said it worked for their child really well. And I said, well, everybody's different. We are bio individuals, and it is a very specific thing of, you know, you really have to use caution, especially when you're using any new herb or anything, and start with a very small amount of it and really pay attention to how your body reacts to it. Just like with your cup of tea, you know, it may have been different if you would have taken a couple sips of it and then waited a little bit to see your body's reaction to it. But I get it. If you get a good cup of tea, you're going to chug that thing because it's good tea. So it really is, you know, being in tune with your body and paying attention to your body's reactions to those herbs, those even, you know, new medicines that your doctor prescribes. You need to be very mindful of what side effects your body is showing you from those.
Well, you know, it's interesting. This is my last question or a comment. It's interesting because Deb brought this up several times, and I've joined these sessions, and we see it more and more now through the internet and the articles. Since we've been so-called restricted or confined for the last year, those of us that are enjoy being around people and that stimulates us. It's been difficult, and I was going down a path I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I did some research. So I'm trying GABA to help me focus because I feel like I'm a rubber ball in a rubber room because I can't get out. And Deb knows me personally. So when we interact together, we like shaking hands and, you know, being out among people. And while these technology has lent itself to have these type of sessions, it doesn't fulfill that piece. And I just read an article this morning that the mental situation with employees working remotely, a lot of them that are like us or like Deb or maybe others on the call, they want to get back into the workplace because they are starting to have issues like I'm describing. So that's the reason I'm trying GABA, just because it's I'm going nuts. Help. So
Right, right. And that really is a huge component to our health, is a sense of community. And that does affect our health on a physical level down the line as well, because we as human beings, we crave that. We want to have a sense of community and, you know, love and relationships and that kind of stuff. So that has been very, very hard on people. And, you know, there are ways that we can, you know, attempt to still have relationships, and although the physical touch is not there, so it is a little bit different. And all I can suggest is do the best that you can. There are herbs out there that can maybe help with things like that, but it may be, you know, something that you have to work out a little harder. The GABA and the herbs and different things can be a help and a support to that, but it really will take more action of, you know, if you need to do 3 Zoom meetings a day to have conversations with people, or make it a point to call a friend and talk for 30 minutes at least once a day. That sort of sense of community does play such a huge role on our physical health as well.
Let's see. So Billie Jean, then Judy.
Yeah, so my quick question is this. I've been interested for years. In fact, I just bought a new little book I have in my bedroom on herbs and things. And as I read through, though, so my general question is this. I generally go to natural grocers, and I hope that I get a real smart person in the aisle who works there, because they've been amazing. But then they'll say something like, oh, yes, you need the ashwagandha, or you need the hawthorn, or you need the whatever. And then I go over and look, and there's 8 bottles all the way ranging from $8 to $68. I'm like, okay, not the cheapest, not the most expensive, go in the middle. So, or sometimes in my book, it will say, you need to get the actual root. And I'm thinking, where do I go get the actual root? Because I live in Denver. Is it in the mountains? Is it over the river and through the woods? So my general question is there a general, when you look at any kind of supplements or vitamins, go in the center, or you can get the cheapest one, or get the gummy, get the fluid. Can you give any kind of general advice? That's my first question. The second question is troubleshooting. When you're 58 years old and you're like, well, I'm kind of sad and I'm kind of lonely and I don't sleep well. How do you have any general, how to get to the root of it? Because I've been praying and meditating and reading and asking Jesus and asking Deb and asking the guy on the street. So that's a lot of stream of consciousness. If you can answer anything, I'll bless you, sister.
Okay. All right. I will try my best. First, we're going to talk about the supplements and kind of what I look for when I buy supplements for my family. Because there's a wide range of so much out there. Some of it's great, some of it's low quality, high quality, and everything in between. I always try to look for things without artificial preservatives. And even more specifically, without any preservatives, which is what I always look for. So even if it's, a capsule of ashwagandha root, I would try to find something that's not mixed with citric acid or xanthan gum or just different preservatives, because your body, although those preservatives are deemed safe for human consumption, that can interfere with your body's ability to absorb and use the herb itself. So I always at least attempt to find something without preservatives if I can. As far as quality goes, this is something that is you got to do some research on this. Especially with my children, I have been much more strict with, I need to find, this without citric acid, because one of my twins is very sensitive to citric acid. It makes it where he will not make eye contact for a couple weeks. If he has anything with citric acid in it, it's in everything. Okay. It's in everything. So that's something that I've had to really change my mindset on since having my twins, is really reading the labels and then doing research also on the company that manufactures and produces that. So most of our supplements, honestly, I make them either by stuff that we make with that elderberry lady, or I will order the bulk herb and make things just for my family at home. Just because I know what to do and it's kind of my jam, but it is research. So with this, it's, do I use the root part of, the marshmallow plant? Is it better for me to use the flower or the leaves or the stalk? Sometimes for some plants, you can use all parts of the plant and each part does something completely different in your body. So it really is, there's a ton of research and knowledge out there. You'll never learn it all. I don't know it all. And I will tell anybody that, if I don't know something, I'm just going to be like, I don't know. But a lot of it is research and trial and error. So that's a little bit on that first question. The second question is, it's fairly in depth on how you get to the root cause of who you are and what you have going on. So I know as a young child, and even like when I was born with thyroid issues. And that's been something that, yes, I've known it my whole life. So I've been able to like mitigate and work at that because I know what the root cause of all my craziness is my thyroid and different things around my thyroid. So I know that's my issue. But I have seen a ton of people, and really it starts with going really meticulously through what symptoms you are seeing, go through your health history, your family's health history, keeping a food journal to see that is dairy, creating this inflammation in your body, does your body react, harshly to red meat? We're all very different. That goes back to the bio individuality. So I'm very hesitant to, diagnose anybody because I'm definitely not a doctor. But there are ways. I actually have a friend that does iridology where she reads the irises in the eye because each of those have a connection to the different organs and things in the body. And that can tell you, hey, your pancreas needs some more support, or, maybe your spleen's not functioning correctly. And in your irises, that actually tells a lot about your body. The same with your fingernails. So you can find out a little bit about your health with your fingernails. Are they rigid? Are they thick? Do they chip very easily? And that goes back to, you could research this stuff for 5 or 10 years, or you could reach out to some sort of natural health professional to give you some support on that.
Great. Well, Amanda, make sure that you put your contact information in the chat feature. Judy, what was your question, dear?
Well, thank you, Amanda. And you've answered a couple of my questions. For example, I do take, and I don't know how to say it, ashwagandha. Ashwagandha tea. No, it's actually coffee. But I guess my question is mixing herbs. Is this something that we have to do on our own and research? For example, what if I drink that coffee all day and then decide, well, I want some passion flower or gambum because I have sleep issues too. Where do we go to research or to?
So this is always where it gets kind of sticky because even if you're okay with using ashwagandha and your body's fine with that, and if I use ashwagandha and passion flower together all day, every day, and I'm fine, it could be different when you use it. So that goes back to the, start really small and slow, and then pay major attention to any kind of change in your body. There are lists and things out there that have herb interactions, but I'm always very hesitant to refer people there because you may see on the list that, yes, ashwagandha and passion flower are super safe together. Go ahead and you take it, and then you have a reaction, and I don't want any part in that. So you can obviously do research on, does this look like it's going to be okay? I always tell people, get your information from at least 3 separate sources that have that same information. That way you at least have some sort of, okay, at least three places, have said that this is safe and okay. And then from there, start with a very small amount. Start with the ashwagandha by itself. You do great, wonderful. Then try the passion flower by itself. Okay, you do great. That's wonderful. So try a very small amount of both together. In that instance, passion flower and ashwagandha are okay to take together. Nettle is one of the herbs that I use for darn everything. And seriously, I would mix that in dirt and eat it. It's so good for you. So I don't know of many other herbs that would be contradictory to nettle specifically, but there's also the part of and the piece of the puzzle of, if you're taking any over-the-counter or prescription medications, then that adds a whole nother layer of if, ands, or buts to it. So really, this is something that it's trial and error, and you need to talk to your doctor, because I'm not a doctor. I play one on TV just like Eugene.
Here we are on these screens now, right? We can all claim that. I love this conversation, and I think we could go on, for quite a long time. And I'm more than happy, we'll stop the recording here shortly, but I'm more than happy to keep things going.
Right.
It's funny. You mentioned that your mom, did a lot of herbs and things. And of course, my mom was the exact opposite. It was throw a pill at it. And now granted, she worked for the local town doctor. And we had one in the county, one doctor in the whole county. So, that really was part of it. But part of the issues with that is the fact that, I was probably not even 10 years old and developed a severe allergy to penicillin. And now I have major issues with any type of antibiotic. And I actually try to not take antibiotics, but
right.
And because we've, let's be honest. I think all of us on this call, I mean, you're the youngster, but most of us are fairly, pretty close to around the same age. And so we were brought up, very specifically with, the medicine, the doctor, all of these various aspects where we did throw pills at it. And so that to me has been probably one of the biggest issues, is the fact that I took too much as a kid, and now, if I have an issue, I mean, like there was, and you and I'll chat offline because I really do want to talk to you. But I had an issue a while ago, and the antibiotic that I ended up, the only one that they thought might work, $1,000 a pill. And I mean, that was, and then of course what happens? I developed an allergic reaction to it. And I'm sitting there looking at this pill bottle thinking there is gold in here and I can't take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's, and so anytime that you and like you said, obviously there are times where we have to go with Western medicine, but I think a lot of times what really works is that combination, it's herbs, it's acupuncture, it's, all of those various things. And so, that really, I think it's, but as you've really said, it is so individual. And I think that's what's so important, is for people to find what works best for them.
Right. And that puts a little bit of the responsibility back on the person rather than the herbalist or the doctor. It really is up to the person to kind of watch their body and pay attention to what their body's telling them. Right. Because your body will send you warning signs. Those symptoms, those headaches, everything that, you have going on.
Pain is telling you, hello, there's a problem.
Yes.
And I think the other thing that we all tend to forget is, when we're at our regular doctor, we don't always tell them about the supplements because we don't think of them as medicine.
Right.
And as you said, it really can cause issues with things. And so, my doctors, are very good about, now what supplements are you taking? And so I tell them, and they, not only is it, hey, I'm taking, elderberry gummies, they want to know what the milligrams, all of those various things are. And so the nice thing is, in many cases, Western medicine is also embracing this. But well, let's take just a minute or two, if anybody has any other quick questions, and then, like I said, we'll wrap up the recording and then we can keep chatting if everybody wants to. Brian.
I just have a quick comment based on what you just said earlier about us all being, the old people in the room, and Eugene said something about it.
Sue's corrected me. Was it Sue?
Say that.
No, Eugene
and
corrected me.
All I'm going to say is, get off my lawn.
I love it.
I have a question. Well, it's a comment. So Deb kind of knows this too. So my wife has an autoimmune disease, and she's very sensitive to stuff like that. She can't take a lot of the antibiotics and stuff. It took us a while, but we found a functional medicine doctor.
Yes.
And it is amazing that, in the afternoon she would have to take naps we couldn't figure out, and he did all this blood work, extensive blood work. And he says, your type of blood, you have metals built up in your blood. If you go donate at the Red Cross, it'll make you feel better. And within 2 weeks, she was wonderful. But unfortunately, Red Cross, because she has a special blood type, calls every other day. But they want her back. But it's amazing to get outside of, I worked in healthcare for 25 years, not as a clinician, but administrator. And it's amazing how people can become very white pill focused as all the answers. And it doesn't work for everybody, but using essential oils and some of the things you're mentioning today and alternative medicine does make a difference. And if you don't have the right insurance, that's not a problem, because a lot of this stuff is, I'll say, affordable for right now. But I think there's a lot of opportunity. And I don't know if it was Gene or somebody mentioned, you're right. If you go to Sprouts or Whole Foods or some of the other places, you don't know what those folks that work there, if you go in and say, my arm hurts, well, let's cut your arm off, it'll feel better. Right?
No.
So you have to be really careful when you run into these box store personnel.
And they really shouldn't. Right. They really shouldn't be, oh, you need this, you need that. That is definitely not their place. And it's really illegal for them to do that, because if they don't have a certification, if they don't have some sort of, degree or background in it, they're almost putting you in danger, because they don't know how you and your body react to things. They don't know, your existing regimen and things like that. And yes, Western medicine and herbal medicine can work in conjunction with each other. And I'm a firm believer that, there is a time and a place for Western medicine. I have a ton of clients that are going through chemo that use herbs to help, protect their cells and bring down their nausea and just different things that it can work so well in conjunction for people when it's needed. Some people do better with just herbs. That's how I am. It's a very bio-individual thing, and we're all going to need something completely different. That's really cool that your wife found out that if she donates blood, that's helpful. It may not always be an herb. It may be an action or just something you haven't thought of that could change your health completely. So I think that's awesome. That's a great story.
Right. And a vast majority of it is right here.
Yes.
Years ago, I worked for an oncologist, fabulous man, loved him to pieces. And, he always said that 95% of the treatment was in your brain, and so there were times where, he would have patients who would say, we're not going to do this. And he would say, fine, what do we need to do? I still remember we had a patient who came to us, and I was in Colorado, and he came to us from Arizona, I believe, and had his surgery because there was a tumor that needed taken out.
Right.
And so, that was where the Western medicine had to do. But then we packaged up all of his records and sent them back for his medicine man. And, my doctor's philosophy was that's what he thinks will help him the best. Therefore, that's what we will do. And so that is always, the big thing is and I know I sound like my mother when I say this, but, if you think it will work or not, that really is a big part of it. And
makes a difference.
Yeah. So, well, Amanda, I'm going to go ahead. Thank you so much for
Thanks for
chatting with us. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording.